Yo, what's up, guys? So today we're going to go over the reading order for the Legend of Drizzt. It's a book series. I didn't look it up. It's something like, it's probably close to 50 books now. But here's the thing. Don't get worried. The Legend of Drizzt is usually split up into trilogies. This is the first one I've ever written, right? The trilogies are, there's trilogies, there's quartets, quintets, and there's some like side series with other characters within the Legend of Drizzt that I consider all within the realm of Legend of Drizzt. But the thing is, the first two trilogies, this is the first one written. It's the Icewind trilogy. And then this is the second one written. It's the Dark Elf trilogy. The second one written actually comes for the first one chronologically. So the question is, what is the correct reading order? Personally, I would actually say I've said in the past, I've said do it chronologically. Do the Dark Elf trilogy, learn who Drizzt is, and then go to the Icewind Dale trilogy. But nowadays, I would actually say go with the publication order. Go with the Icewind Dale trilogy, so it's books 4, 5, and 6. You can read those, and you can end there. It is its own, actually, each individual book is a standalone story. You could read book 1 and be done if you want. But then these three sort of have an ongoing story within them. You could read these three as a bunch. These three, they're all 100,000 word books. So to put that into perspective, something like Clash of Kings, book 2 of A Song of Ice and Fire, that's around 300,000 words. So this is a Clash of Kings right here. Same thing with the first trilogy chronologically, or the first trilogy, the second trilogy written, the Dark Elf trilogy. It's about the size of Clash of Kings. So the reason I say to read these, it's pretty simple, right? As you guys know, Bridge 4, you know what, I keep hyping it. Bridge 4 is this guy, Kaladin Stormblessed. Kaladin, well, there's like a comic book version of him. He's not like a comic book. He's a very serious dude, a very broken. All right, I don't want to spoil Kaladin Stormblessed. He's my second favorite character ever. My favorite character ever is Drizzt Do'Urden. Let's see if I can get a good picture of him. Yeah, this dude right here, Drizzt Do'Urden. And look at that panther, Gwen. Drizzt Do'Urden is a dark elf. I'll give you some very high-level synopsis of what these books are about. So it's not really that spoilery. Because I mean, if you haven't heard about this story and you weren't planning on reading it, you're probably not going to yet. So let me just tell you what it's about. Maybe you guys go out and read it. And I don't know if I said this yet. These are light reads, not only in terms of the word count, but in terms of they're not like too overly complicated, jumping around with politics. It's about elves and demons and dwarves and humans. It's a very light read, but there are really good themes in here. Like my quote that I used to have for the longest time on Instagram, and it's one of my favorite quotes ever, is change is not always growth, but growth is often rooted in change. That's Drizzt Do'Urden, and to give you some background to who he is, right? So the first trilogy ever written is the Icewind Dale trilogy. At this point, Drizzt Do'Urden is above ground, and he's what we call a ranger. He's kind of like Aragorn, except he's a dark elf. So he's hated on, because dark elves have a very dark culture, which I'll get to in a minute. So he's looked at, he's not treated very well, even though he's kind of like, he's like the best character I've ever seen in any story. He's the man. And people they're so mean to him. So the first trilogy chronologically, the second one written, starts out with Homeland. So Homeland will give you a background into Drizzt Do'Urden's culture, where he comes from, which is deep down inside the earth, Menzoberranzan, where the women are the rulers, men are sort of the fighters, women have the magic, the women elves. There are other races down there, like there are dark dwarves down there, there are gnomes down there. It's just a very dark world. You're in the middle of the earth, right? So people down there, like a lot of these species, can see in the dark. The trilogy's called the Dark Elf trilogy. It's dark, man. It is dark. There are some really cool characters. Obviously, Drizzt Do'Urden, my number one character ever. This is where he starts. He's a little kid, not a little kid, but he's pretty young at the start of this book. And you know, dwarves typically live a long time. In book 2, it's sort of him adventuring around, sort of branching out from his homeland. Oh yeah, book 1's called Homeland. I think it says it somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, Homeland. Book 2 is called, well, I guess it kind of gives away something. But book 2 is called Exile. He's now traveling around in the earth, in the dark, just being a badass. Learning about who he is and who he's not, but he's living a dangerous life. Because now you're by yourself, just in the middle of the world, like inside the world. All these crazy creatures there. Then we got book 3, Sojourn. As you can see, there's daylight. The thing is, imagine being someone like him. Like, you've literally never seen daylight until that first time you do. This is a great series. It's darker, though. It's darker than the second trilogy, which, again, you can read that as a standalone. Just a 1, 2, 3, boom, and never read A Legend of Drizzt again if you want. I would say do these 3 first, then do those 3. And there are like 40 others. I've read like 10 to 15 of the other ones so far. I'll eventually read them all because it's just a lot of fun and they're light reads. But you could literally, don't get intimidated by that. You could read just this one and then call it quits and love it and call it quits. All right, so this one starts out, it's the Icewind Dale Trilogy. So, the Dark Elf Trilogy was book 1, 2, 3. Icewind Dale Trilogy is now books 4, 5, and 6. But they're the first 3 written. So this is Drizzt Do'Urden now. He's like I said, he's a ranger, but he's not treated very well. You can see there's other characters here, like a barbarian, Wolfgar, Brunner. Oh yeah, look, see this dwarf? Like, you know how everyone says Gimli's the #1 dwarf? If you look up on websites like who are the top dwarves, you're going to see the guy I'm going to mention. My favorite dwarf in any series ever is this guy right here, Brunner Battlehammer. Our friend from the Game of Thrones online community, the Granite person, actually named his dog Brunner Battle Collar. Yeah. So this is a fun book. Like I said, it's a light read. You know, nothing too dark there because it's not as dark as the Dark Elf Trilogy. The second book, this is, I don't know if it actually is because now like Words of Radiance or maybe Oathbringer, I have to reread Oathbringer. I've still only done it once. But Stormlight Archives, like Words of Radiance might be my favorite book ever. But I do often say that this is literally my favorite book ever. Like I said, look at that. Brunner Battlehammer. Streams of Silver. Oh, it is so good. This book is so good. It's just a lot of fun. It's not like it's not as intense. It's not like a heavy lift like if you're going to read book 1 of Malazan or The Wheel of Time or the Song of Ice and Fire series. It is a lot of fun, though. And you get introduced to some new characters. I think this is when, here he is. He's in it. You can see this guy. See a little guy creeping there? He's Untitled, one of the most famous antagonists, very beloved antagonist. Picture like who in Game of Thrones? I can't even think of someone like in Game of Thrones because he's like a total badass. All right, so Kaladin Stormblessed, this guy right here. I mean, he's a whole nother power level than most people. He's a badass fighter. I like fighters, but I also like people who have deep, good hearts and broken stories like Sandor Clegane. Drizzt Do'Urden is the man. You can't really beat Drizzt Do'Urden in a sword fight or like let's say a weapons fight. You take Sir Arthur Dayne. Drizzt Do'Urden would school Arthur Dayne. It's totally different power level. Geralt of Rivia, the White Wolf with The Witcher, he would school Arthur Dayne, or at least he'd be the betting favorite, a solid betting favorite against Sir Arthur Dayne. Now, he'd school him. And Drizzt Do'Urden would school Geralt of Rivia. Drizzt Do'Urden, I mean, he's a dark elf. He's kind of like, it's a whole new power level. The dude fights like demons and huge monsters and stuff. He's awesome. He fights, that's why I got these for Halloween one year, in honor of Drizzt Do'Urden. Because my man, he's a dual scimitars. And this guy is Untitled. He fights with a saber. Is that Untitled? Yeah. He's got the dagger in his hand. He fights with a saber and a dagger. So it's very similar to Drizzt. Two dual-wielding weapons guys. And the saber, I think, has a curve on it. Like scimitars, like, the whole thing's like a little curve. I think sabers go up and then curve at the very end. I think. But anyway, this is book 2 of the Icewind Dale trilogy. And then book 3 is the Halfling's Gem. So it's just sort of look, you can see the duel. He has 2 in his hand right there. 2 swords, 2 scimitars. But yeah, this is, I would say start with this series, the Icewind Dale trilogy. Read these 3. It's about the size of Clash of Kings. Then you go back and read. So then you learn about Drizzt. You're going to fall in love with Drizzt in the first book here, The Crystal Shard. But you read that whole series, you'll love Drizzt. And then you'll be like, okay, I've heard all about his past. Now let's go find out about his past. And that's the Dark Elf trilogy. Because again, he's not like a light elf, like a light-skinned elf of the above world, like our world, land. He's a dark elf. He's from the dark, so he's got darker skin. And it's just, like I said, it's really powerful because the dude's just judged nonstop, even though he's the best person on land. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of good people, but he's the best of the best. And there's one other thing, I guess, before we go, I'll say, is you have another option. They have graphic novels. For these first 2 trilogies, you could actually read them. I haven't done the second one yet, the Crystal Shard trilogy. I just got it. I knew it always existed, but I didn't have Amazon Prime until this year. So in the past, it was kind of like I was looking at Barnes & Noble, like, do they have it? And they never had it. But it's a graphic novel. So this whole graphic novel is these 3 books. And again, I haven't done it yet. I'm going to because it's going to be a total blast. I've done this one. Look at it. It's all beat up. I've done this one a couple times. I've read the books once or twice. I've audiobooked them like 3 to 5 times. They're just a lot. Like, they're really easy, a lot of fun. It's just fun going down memory lane. But and I've done this at least 3 times. Just because you can do it in a single sitting or 2 sittings, and it's the graphic novel version. So technically, you can just go out and get this right here instead of reading books 1, 2, and 3. But like I said, this is the size of Clash of Kings. You should read the books. They're a little deeper. You get better quotes, better insight into what's in their heads. To be honest, the graphic novel is really good. It actually touches on a lot of the stuff, even the stuff that goes on within people's heads, the emotional stuff. However, I think a lot of it, you wouldn't get as much out of it if you were just reading the graphic novel. Like, knowing what is actually happening from the books, then in this condensed version, you can still almost get as much out of it, but you have to have the books in your background, in your head. You have to have known how deep it is. But yeah, that's it. Drizzt Do'Urden, these 6 books. Go read them.